So I'll be very clear and very short. I'll start with two things. That when a society bestows certain special responsibility or certain special degree upon any particular individual, it is expected that he or she, whoever he or she may be, will carry herself or himself in a dignified manner, in a manner that is full of integrity. When we speak about legal profession, this profession demands a lot of integrity, and when you are assuming the position of Supreme Court judges, then that demand of course is very high. I would like to quote few things. Number one is the Bar Council of India rules, which says, particularly with regards to advocates, that an advocate shall at any time and at all times comport himself in a manner befitting his status as an officer of the court, a privileged member of the community, and a gentleman, bearing in mind that what may be lawful and immoral for a person who is not a member of bar, or for a member of bar in his non-professional capacity, may still be improper for an advocate. So what is otherwise may seem normal or professional for a person who is a member of bar may not be very professional, and these attributes apply with equal forces to the member of judicial community. I'm talking about the bench. Now we have a restatement of values of judicial life. This is a code of judicial ethics that was adopted by the Supreme Court of India, full court, in 1997. And there was certain resolution, to be very precise, there were 16 resolution. Resolution number 8 states that a judge shall not enter into public debate or express his views in public on political matters or on matters that are pending or are likely to arise for judicial determination. So now, for the reason that we have gathered here, we will be discussing about the freedom of speech and expression of Supreme Court judges, because what happened few months back hasn't happened in the independent India. Now, we have adopted a constitution in the year 1949, 2 years post our independence, and that freedom, that constitution, that fundamental document, of course, guarantees freedom of speech and expression to every individual staying in this particular country. Now, judges are also human beings, and as a general rule, these fundamental freedoms should also be available to them. But now, since they have assumed a special position which says, or which gives them power to adjudicate matters, to settle down the disputes, whether those fundamental freedoms are available to them in a similar manner that is being available for a common individual. Now, due to some or other altercation in between the judges, four senior Supreme Court judges addressed the press in an unprecedented manner, and they actually opened up against the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice Deepak Mishra. So now I think the table is on. We should debate on this. Your views.
One of the more major fundamental, I feel as a judge, the person concerned, once he has achieved that position, once you have to bear the cost of it. He cannot avail the fundamental right and freedom of the guaranteed by the constitution. That position which he is holding is also a constitutional position. He cannot. There is a certain sanctity which is there for the which the judges have to hold. Simply coming out in the open, giving a press conference, going against the Chief Justice of India, that doesn't give a good image in the world scenario. If the judiciary is itself fighting from within, especially the top 5 judges, they could have easily sorted out the matter among themselves and the Chief Justice has the power. He is the master of the roster. How he arranges the way he arranges it's up to him. He might not consult, but they could have first sorted out. There was no need for them to come out in the press and just go against our number one judge. So that's all. They cannot avail of the rights in a similar manner which a common citizen like us can. There are advantages of holding such a position. A certain sanctity has to be maintained at whatever cost. Anyone else?
See, ethics of judges, I mean, basically it refers to the moral principles of a judge, and they must observe these moral principles while discharging their duty. Former President Barack Obama, even he summed up this concept of values or independence and accountability of judges and 4 principles. I just want to quote it. The first is the judge ought to be aware of his power and his limits. He must know that his power should not be abused and that a judge cannot obtain everything he wants. Right? The second, a judge must recognize his mistakes. Like all mortals, even judges err. A judge must admit this. The professional integrity of a judge requires him to admit his mistakes if he is convicted that he has indeed erred. So that, I mean, a judge. So basically, just to sum up, this second point is that a judge must recognize his mistake and then accept it. In his writing and in his thinking, a judge must display modesty and the absence of arrogance. So here what I feel was there was some sort of arrogance. So that's the reason they didn't went to the Chief Justice. Something there was. So there shouldn't be. The very first thing is there shouldn't be arrogance. Right. Judges should be honest. Public confidence in the judiciary increases where the message goes to public. So here it is. I mean, public confidence, obviously, I mean, here in this case, how would the public gain confidence in judiciary when they are seeing that the judges themselves are coming in front of the public. So in his 4th principle, he said judges should be honest. Public confidence in the judiciary increases where the message goes to the public by words and conduct that the judges are truthful. So I think values should be maintained.
And as per me, Justice Ranjan Gogoi, who is now next in line for being the Chief Justice, he, ethically speaking, the government should not appoint him as this is my personal view maybe, should not appoint him as the Chief Justice of India, though he is next in line, thereby giving a strong message to everyone, because he was the one who was there in the forefront during that press conference. They were giving everyone a strong message that just as a part of ethics.
So I believe that any yardstick for judicial conduct always speaks to the core question of the maintenance of judicial independence, be it the right to speech or any extrajudicial or personal conduct indulged by the judge, hits at the question of judicial independence. So, any act done in pursuance of maintaining the independence of judiciary would be permissible. I feel that. Any act done that dilutes the independence of judiciary or actually stated the public confidence in the judiciary would be impermissible. Now, concerning the present issue, we do not know whether the Chief Justice was approached or not. There are always two sides to issues. The judges maintained that they had internally circulated letters, while the CJI had not responded. And that the CJI, in his wisdom, has deigned not to respond to those allegations, whatever be the case. But the question did arise that judicial independence might be affected, considering the allotment of cases that had taken place, wherein it was already presumed what kind of judgment would be passed. Right, so the question was thrown open to the public just to see whether confidence can be vested or not in the judiciary. So, having said that, the keystone for assessing that conduct, I believe, would be that anything that does not form a ground for removal of the judge would not be extrajudicial conduct.
I think
all the points have been covered, and I completely agree with all my friends what they point about the judicial freedom, the freedom of expression of the judges. The constitution is a sacrosanct, institution, and especially the judges who are the custodians of justice and the constitution should not go beyond it. Whatever problems arose, I mean, as she rightly said, it's like uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. So if you are bestowed with that kind of a power, you have to bear the consequences. Secondly, one thing that comes to my mind is another episode, even though he was a High Court judge, C.S. Karnan, he was also, he was the one who went ahead and called him a victim and wrote a letter to Prime Minister. So if we kind of allow these things to happen, then democracy is actually in trouble. Because if the judges start, breaching the code, then who is there to, actually take care of it?
Okay, so whatever we have discussed so far, one side believes that the things that were done was not absolutely right. There remains alternatives. The other side believes that
Anything done in pursuance of maintaining independence.
exactly. So the other side is more or less concerned about the independence of judiciary, which is definitely one of the very important aspect that we should be concerned about today. I mean, it's not only about the presser that happened. Prior to the presser, a lot has happened. Mr. Rajiv Dhavani incident, Mr. Kannan's event, and even during this Babri Masjid, a lot is going on, and on and on. The recent development, the theory of or the the practice of impeachment of the Chief Justice of India is also going on. So a lot is at stake, and definitely we should have to maintain this independence of judiciary, because when we talk about, you also quoted Barack Obama regarding the integrity of the institution. When we talk about Supreme Court of India or the High Courts of India, these two are the courts that are having absolute appellate jurisdiction under Constitution itself and under various other enactments. So definitely people look to this institution as an institution of last resort, and if there is no conduct which calls or demands as an integral conduct, then definitely that is a situation we should be worried about. There is one case that I would like to cite here, is High Court of Judicature for Rajasthan versus Ramesh Chandra Paliwal. It's 1998, and a very beautiful thing has been laid down, which says that judges have been described as hermits, further reminding that they have to live and behave like hermits who have no desire or aspiration, having shed it through penance. Their mission is to supply light and not heat. So I personally feel that the conduct of these four judges supplied heat, whereas their conduct demanded that particular moment of time that they should supply light to the situation. Of course, in a democratic country, what is expected is difference of opinion will be there, but you should not act in a manner the political person of this country act or behave. We have a code of conduct both for the bench and for the bar. You have to compound your activities and your behavior in that particular manner. Your conduct should be in adherence to those codes or ethics that you have agreed to. I think the House will agree with me on this.